est-ce que la série Emily in Paris est bonne ou mauvaise pour apprendre l'anglais? On connaît tous la série, mode, romance et des stéréotypes français un petit peu exagérés.
C'est la vie.
Mais une série qui mélange le français et l'anglais, est-ce que ça peut vraiment vous aider à améliorer votre anglais? Dans cette vidéo, on décortique le premier épisode de la nouvelle saison pour parler des expressions clés et je soulignerai aussi s'il y a des petits trucs qui me semblent pas tout à fait naturels en anglais.
That's weird.
Oh, c'est normal.
À la fin, je vous donnerai mon verdict final. Emily in Paris. Utile ou juste une tendance?
Ringarde.
Alors activez les sous-titres si besoin parce qu'ici, pour apprendre l'anglais, on parle anglais et let's start. Now, I know this is a bit of a divisive series. Some people hate it, some people love it, some people love to hate it. As for me, I have no idea. I think I love to hate it, but maybe I love it. I don't know. Let's do it.
Ami is coming in at 10. Is Julien's client. But they've asked that you join the meeting. I can't attend, but I'm asking you now. Ferme ton clapet.
Oh, I know that one.
Shut your trap.
Emily, you're here! Oh, I was worried you'd fled the country after Timothée's riveting expose. Who could blame you?
What is he talking about?
No, you didn't see the TikTok?
I'm not on TikTok. We have the Ami executive waiting for us in the conference room.
It's your client. I don't even need to be there.
Oh, but you do. Because it very much concerns you, as you'll see.
Okay, here she's surrounded by her French co-workers. So of course, most of the characters in this scene are not native English speakers. And I'd say they all have varying levels. I have to say, I find that Sylvie is quite natural. I feel that when she's speaking, she feels like maybe she's even improvising a little bit. With the other characters, I almost can't put my finger on it. It does feel a little bit less natural. I can feel that the pace is slower. And while, of course, they use natural expressions, it feels almost a little bit scripted. So, for example, when Julien says,
What is he talking about?
So here it would probably be more natural to say, what's he talking about? And of course, the show is scripted, so the vocabulary is authentic. But for example, when Luc says,
After Timothée's riveting expose, who could blame you?
or when Julien says,
Because it very much concerns you, as you'll see.
there's something quite theatrical about the way that they say these phrases in English. All right, let's continue.
Now it's time to work. You have many things to accomplish before the competition. You'll need to record the song, develop a staging concept, hire a choreographer, dancers.
I'm sorry, we have to pay for all of this?
Austerity measures have left us at a bit of a deficit. We set the city on fire for retirement, but where were the riots in the streets for the cuts to Eurovision?
All right, so here we have another native French speaker, and she hasn't made any grammatical mistakes, but it does feel like her vocabulary, she's using quite advanced vocabulary sometimes, right? Talking about austerity measures, leaving us with a deficit. But her kind of pacing and intonation, there's just something a little bit off, and it feels a bit weird that she's using this advanced vocabulary and that the kind of pacing and just feel of her English doesn't seem to match up. So there's something a little bit off there, but absolutely her English is totally correct. And I think also a couple of things I heard with her pronunciation. So for example, she said to develop instead of develop. Of course, you know in English that intonation is quite important. So here we want to emphasize the second syllable, develop. And I also heard her say Eurovision
To Eurovision.
instead of Eurovision. Let's continue.
I know. Couture! The only rule of the JVMA suite at the French Open is that everyone has to wear a JVMA designer. Love, love, Nicolas. Oh my god! Love, love? Love, love is a tennis reference. Stop mentally shopping for a bridesmaid's dress.
Okay, so here, honestly, we have a really natural English conversation between two native speakers, Emily and Mindy. Something interesting that I just thought about is that we know the famous French tennis tournament, Roland Garros, or in English, Roland Garros, I guess, actually is much more commonly referred to as the French Open. I won't say that nobody calls it Roland Garros. However, yeah, I really feel like, especially in the media, it's really just referred to as the French Open. Maybe something kind of culturally interesting. All right, enough about sport. Let's continue.
Speaking of, do you like this? I mean, yeah, it's a little more Kate Middleton than you normally go, but couture is couture. What are you gonna wear?
I don't know if I think this dress is Kate Middleton. All I can see right now is Marge Simpson in her Chanel dress. Guys, tell me if you agree. This is no. Okay. Sorry. Let's continue.
If we don't pull off this campaign, I think that Julian might leave. And I have no idea if Alfie's gonna show up. I can't believe you exhumed an ex-boyfriend to make a coworker happy. It's called Zepeto. It's a virtual reality app, and I use it to mock up Alfie and me kissing so that we could be there without actually having to be there, just in case he bails. Hey, if he stands you up and you need someone to kiss you, I can do it.
Yeah, what I said before still stands. This is such a natural conversation between two native English speakers. And I heard some really nice expressions or phrasal verbs especially. So Emily talked about pulling off the campaign. If we pull this campaign off. So to pull something off is a lovely phrasal verb to say that you succeed at doing something, but especially something maybe a bit difficult. Mindy also said, if Alfie stands you up. So to stand somebody up is basically the English equivalent of poser un lapin à quelqu'un. And Emily also said, if he bails. So I suppose the nuanced difference between to stand somebody up and to bail. Bail would mean that you arrived, but then you left suddenly. To stand somebody up would mean that you never arrived and you never told them why. All right, let's continue.
Look, I overreacted. I shouldn't have run off like that.
You really don't need to apologize.
But what Camille said that night, I've always been looking over my shoulder in this relationship, thinking I'm gonna lose you to him. I thought I could get past it. I mean, I wanted to. I don't think I can. I'm always gonna be waiting for the other shoe to drop.
All right, so again, we have another interaction between two native speakers, very natural, and there are two really nice expressions that poor Alfie used in this scene. So the first one was, he said that he was always looking over his shoulder in the relationship. And this is, again, quite an easy one to visualize. When we look over our shoulder, it means that you're anxious or always worried that something bad is about to happen, almost like somebody is following you or something like that. So he said he felt like that in their relationship. And then he used another expression, which was that he would always be waiting for the other shoe to drop. Now, this is another nice expression, again, easy to visualize. It means that you're waiting for an event that you feel is inevitable. There's no way to stop it happening. And I feel like it kind of comes from this idea of, imagine that you're at home in another room and somebody comes home and they're going to drop their shoes on the floor. So when they drop one shoe, you can hear the first shoe, you know they're going to drop the second shoe, and you're just waiting to hear that second sound. And essentially that's what Alfie's saying, but in a different context. He's waiting for, I guess, their relationship to fail. All right, let's continue.
Bonjour.
Bonjour, welcome to Vestiaire Collective. Name, please?
Mindy Chen. I have an appointment. I was recommended by Emily Cooper.
Excellent. Let's see. Stunning. This is couture, no?
Yeah, they don't even sell it in stores.
All right, so now again, we have an interaction between a native English speaker and a French speaker. I think it feels quite natural, but I think they are trying to make sure this woman sounds quite French. And there's one thing she said here that stands out to me, and I've made a video about it before. She said, this is couture, no? And while I won't say that this is impossible to hear from native English speakers, it definitely has a bit of a European sound to it. When you want to confirm something that you've said, saying no at the end of a sentence. So I'm definitely guilty of this, but you need to remember that I have spent a long time living in Europe and I'm very influenced by European languages. In English-speaking countries, again, I won't say it's impossible, but it's definitely more common to say something like, isn't it? Or right. So this is really not a big deal. I think they've actually had this woman say that because they want to give her a kind of a French feeling, right? This is a show set in Paris. So I think it was a decision made by the writers, honestly, to have her say, it's couture, no? All right, so we've watched through the first episodes. We saw some really nice expressions and natural conversations, but also maybe some less authentic language as well. So I'm going to share with you my opinion. What do I think about learning English with Emily in Paris? There are three main things to keep in mind here. Number one, of course, the show is in French and in English, though I don't necessarily think this needs to be a bad thing. In fact, it can be a nicer way to actually connect with the show on a cultural level and also with some of the characters. And I think that kind of investment can really help you to actually pick up more and be more interested in what you're watching in the first place. The second important point, I would say, is that you probably noticed many of the conversations that I really highlighted as being authentic were between two native speakers. They feel a lot more authentic. The pace feels more natural and they use sort of more natural expressions. Obviously, their pronunciation is, perfect. However, and this is my third point, I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing that there are some other conversations between a native English speaker and a non-native English speaker that feel a little bit less authentic or where the pace is a little bit slower. Especially if, for example, maybe you have a more intermediate English level, this can be a really nice mix because, for example, like we saw that example of Julien when he said, what is he talking about? This is actually a much easier way to pick up all of the words in a sentence before moving on to kind of more advanced sentences saying, what's he talking about, right? Saying something much more quickly. Just be mindful that there may be some intonation or pronunciation slips from the non-native English speakers. But of course, the show is scripted, so you're not going to hear anything that's going to make your English worse. And lastly, a kind of extra point, which I think goes without saying, maybe you just really like the show, and that's great. If you enjoy watching the show, or you love to hate the show, whatever it is, if you are enjoying yourself and you're invested in what you're watching, it's always going to be a good learning experience. So look, you can say what you want about Emily and her interesting fashion choices, but the girl does speak English. So that's it for today's video. Let me know in the comments, guys. Do you love Emily in Paris? Do you hate it? Do you love to hate it? Is there maybe another show that you'd like me to talk about? Let me know in the comments. If you would like to support what I do here, please subscribe. I'll see you again soon. Bye.